Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 6. We have been reading the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada to text 45. So we'll continue reading. We were hearing yesterday how Ajamil, although he was sinful, but he chanted the name of Narayan, and the Vishnu Dutas came. The Yamadutas could not touch him. Why? Because he did inoffensive chanting. His chanting was not offensive. Yeah, he wanted to call his son, but Lord Narayan is so kind, he took it as that Narayan is, Ajamil is calling himself. So now this comparison is giving. Similarly, King Daksh was always engaged in the pious activities of performing sacrifices. Yet, simply because of creating a little misunderstanding with Lord Shiva, he was severely taken to task. So here the comparison is given that Daksh, he was very pious. He was always performing so many sacrifices, inviting the demigods. He was not engaged in sinful activities. But what did he do? He offended a pure devotee. So that's the difference between Ajamil and Daksh. Daksh is offensive, although he was not sinful. So sins, we can get rid of them, but offenses are more difficult. It takes continuous chanting. When we commit offenses, then we have to repeatedly chant, constant chanting. That will help us get rid of the offenses. And wherever possible, um, we ask for forgiveness, beg for forgiveness. The conclusion, therefore, is that the Supreme Will is the ultimate judgment. No one can argue upon this. So this is how Krishna has made it. Because Krishna takes, the devotees are very, very dear to Krishna, the pure devotees. Krishna is in their heart and they are in Krishna's heart. So he's personally taking care of them. And Krishna does not tolerate anyone offending his pure devotee. A pure devotee therefore submits in all circumstances to the supreme will of the Lord, accepting it as all auspicious. This is the consciousness of a pure devotee. His consciousness is whatever Krishna wants. I am completely dependent on Krishna. A pure devotee sees himself completely dependent on Krishna. So this verse is in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's in Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 8. After the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Brahmaji speaks this verse. It's a very, very famous verse, very well quoted, many, many times to try to understand what is the consciousness of a devotee. Tatenukampam susamekshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam vidvatma purbhir vidadhan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadayabha. Would you like to repeat? It's a very...
Yes, please.
Yeah. Tatenukampam susamekshamano
Tatte anukampan susami shamano
bunjana. Yeah. Bunjana evatma kritam vipakam.
bunjana evatmakritam vipak
Ridvagva purbir vidadan namaste.
ridvatmapurpi vidadan namaste
Jivetayo mukti pade sadaya bhak.
jivetayo muktipade sadaya daya bhak.
The purport of this verse is that when a devotee is in a calamitous condition, what does he do? Calamities come to us. How do we act in the face of calamities, really distressful situations? How do we act? And here we are hearing, how does a devotee act? He takes it as a benediction of the Supreme Lord. And how does he look at the situation? He takes the responsibility himself for his past misdeeds. So he says, this is Krishna's mercy. I would have suffered much more. I am so sinful that I would have suffered much more because of my sinful activities. But Krishna is so kind that he's just giving me a token of suffering. This is how a pure devotee acts. In such a condition, he offers still more devotional service and is not disturbed. So he does not stop his devotional service. He continues with his devotional service. One who lives in such a disposition of mind, engaged in devotional service, is the most eligible candidate for promotion to the supreme world. So he continues with devotional service. He continues suffering for his past misdeeds, always thanking the Lord, understanding I would have suffered more. And in this way, he gets eligible to enter into Vaikuntha. In other words, such a devotee's claim for promotion to the spiritual world is assured in all circumstances. So Prabhupada also explains in the purport of this verse is that for a son to inherit the property of the father, what does he have to do? He simply has to live longer than his father. The son will live longer than the father, then the property of the father belongs to the son. Similarly, no matter what condition we are in, it may be a pleasant situation or not pleasant situation, we remain Krishna conscious throughout our life. And at the end of life, Krishna will bring us back home, back to Godhead. So the devotee, when he is, so this is a calamitous condition. He is saying that it's my responsibility, but Krishna is kind. He is protecting me. So how does he react when the situation is a happy situation? He says that this is all due to Krishna's mercy. I do not deserve such happiness. I do not deserve this situation. But Krishna, out of his kindness, is giving me this pleasant situation. So a pure devotee sees either happiness or distress, both in relation to Krishna.
This is
This
from the
is
Bhagavatam,
this is
Canto 10.
Bhagavatam, Canto 10, in Brahma Vimohan Leela. It's a verse spoken by Lord Brahma to Krishna. The prayers that Brahmaji offers to Krishna after Brahma steals the cows and then he understands what's happening. So,
Right.
Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text 8. Many devotees recite this verse a lot. It's a very, it's spoken about a lot, this verse, to try to understand the mood of a devotee.
Mhm.
न वै सतां त्वच्चरणार्पितात्मनां
वै सतां त्वच्चरणार्पितां मनां
भूतेषु सर्वेषु अभिपश्यतां तव
भूतेषु सर्वेषु पश्यतां तव
भूतानि चात्मनि अपृथक् दिदृक्षताम्
भूतानि चात्मनि
भूतानि अपृथक्दिदृक्षताम्
अप्रत्यक्षतम्
प्रायेण रसोऽभिभवेद्यथा पशुम्
प्रायेण रोषो अभिभवेद् यथा पशुम्.
So, my dear Lord, devotees who have fully dedicated their lives unto your lotus feet certainly observe your presence as Paramatma in each and every being. And as such, they do not differentiate between one living being and another. Such persons treat all living entities equally. They never become overwhelmed by anger like animals who can see nothing without differentiation. So here Lord Brahma is continuing to offer nice prayers to Lord Shiva, and he sings Bhuteshu Sarveshu, that a learned devotee, a pure devotee, how do they see everyone? They are seeing everyone as equal. They do not make differentiation based on body. We may make so many differentiation based on body, But a pure devotee, he sees everyone as a living entity, part and parcel of Krishna. He does not see that everyone is God or it's just like one big soul. No, individual souls, yes, but each individual soul as part and parcel of Krishna. So then when the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes angry or kills a demon, materially this may appear unfavorable, but spiritually it is a blissful blessing upon him. Krishna's killing and Krishna's friendship is the same. Why? It's both auspicious. Of course, the destination of the demons is that they will just get impersonal liberation. They do get liberation, but it's only up to the Brahmajyoti. But what happens to the devotee of Krishna? He gets personal association of Krishna in one of the Vaikuntha planets, or if the devotee desires, in Golok Vrindavan. So Krishna's good and bad, everything is good. Whatever Krishna does is good. In the material world, Prabhupada would say, good and bad is all bad. We may say, what do you mean? Why is it bad in the material world? Because after all, it's material. We are not the body, we are the soul. We have to get out of here. When we start saying, I want to do good, I want to do good, I want to do good, then it's not that we should not do good activities, of course. We should. But here, just trying to understand that in the material world, if we are just going to focus on being good, that keeps us in the material world. We should try to get out of the material world. Do good and connect it to Krishna, relate it to Krishna. That's what's the idea. Therefore, pure devotees do not make any distinction between the Lord's anger and his blessings. They see both with reference to the Lord's behavior with others and themselves. A devotee does not find fault with the behavior of the Lord in any circumstances. So this is how a pure devotee sees. A pure devotee sees that the Lord is angry at someone, but his anger is being good for that demon. We see all the instances. For example, Shishupal was being so offensive to Krishna, and so Krishna cut off his head with the Sudarshan. But what happened to Shishupal, the soul of Shishupal? What happened to it? Everybody saw in the Rajasuya sacrifice, the soul entered body of Krishna. So he got liberation, impersonal liberation, of course. The demon does not want to personally associate with Krishna. So that's why they don't get Krishna's personal association. But getting liberation is already such a high thing, not easy for people, for ordinary people to get liberation. And so that's how a pure devotee sees the Lord's behavior. We can also see even the pure devotee, his anger is also good, because a pure devotee will never want to do anything harmful for the other person. Like Narad Muni, we are talking about like really pure devotees, who are like exalted. Like Narad Muni, his curse to Nala, Kuber and Manikriv. Apparently it's a curse. Oh, I'm sorry.
Krishna. I want to ask you one thing. You said Shishupal was merged into the body of Krishna after he was killed by the Sudarshan Chakra. And he was he was a demon, or was he a devotee? मतलब devotee था, फिर उसने like he did some sins towards the end, and that's how he got liberation. Like how did he get it?
Because he was killed by Krishna. Anyone who's killed by Krishna gets liberation.
No, पर वो demon था ना, कि नहीं था?
हाँ, demon था. तो जो भी demons कृष्णा ने kill किए, for example, Adasur.
Past, that's why they got this liberation, right? It's not कि ये जन्म में demon थे तभी ऐसा हुआ.
They got liberation because they got killed by Krishna.
Yeah, but that's Krishna, because they were pure devotees in the previous life, like previous birth.
Okay, if you want to get that story, then yeah, जैसे Shishupal, this was his third birth. वो Jai Vijay थे, as we read earlier. They're the gatekeepers of heaven. They got cursed. Then they came as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha.
Okay.
They were killed by Krishna in that. Then they came as Ravan, Kumbhakaran. Then they came in Kalyug as Shishupal and Dandavakar.
Okay.
They came as these two demons. And then each time they were killed by Krishna, they got liberation. And then, of course, they knew, Jaya Vijay knew Krishna is going to come as Lord Chaitanya in Kalyug. They said, we don't want to go back to Vaikuntha. We want to associate with you in your Kalyug pastime, Sankirtana pastime. So they came as Jagai Madai.
Okay.
And then they got pure love of Godhead, pure love of Krishna.
Thank
So
you.
whatever Krishna does is all auspicious for everyone.
Okay.
All auspicious for everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Pratagdiya karma drisho durashayah
Kritagadiya karmadrisho durashaya
parodayena hridrujo nisham
parodayena pitarjujo nisham
parandurukter vitudanti aruntudas
parandurukte vitudanti aruntudas
tanmavadideva vadan bhavat vidaha.
tanma vaditeva vadan bhavat vidaha.
Persons who observe everything with differentiation, who are simply attached to fruitive activities, who are mean-minded, who are always pained to see the flourishing condition of others, and who thus give distress to them by uttering harsh and piercing words, have already been killed by providence. Thus, there is no need for them to be killed again by an exalted personality like you. So persons who are materialistic and always engaged in fruitive activities for material profit cannot endure seeing the flourishing life of others. Envy. Envy is what keeps us here in the material world. We are envious of each other. Srila Prabhupada writes in one of his purports that each living entity is potentially envious of other living entity. Yeah, we see someone doing better than others. Someone else doing better at something that we want to be good at or we think we are good at. We may really become very, very envious. Our heart feels not good. So this is the life of material conditioning. Except for a few persons in Krishna consciousness, the entire world is full of such envious persons. And because of this envy, you're always full of anxieties, perpetually full of anxieties. And why does this happen? Because too much attached to the material body without understanding that we are not the body, but we are eternal parts and parcel of Krishna. We have forgotten that. And so we are thinking in terms of body. Oh, this one is better than me in this way. How can it be? I should be the best. Or I want to have what this person has. Or, so sometimes we may do like not very nice things. We may say not very nice things out of envy or anger. So since their hearts are always filled with anxiety, it is understood that they have already been killed by providence. So anxiety, the heart is not peaceful, then the life is so what do you say? Because the life is not peaceful, the heart is not peaceful, is as good as being dead. So troubled, so troubled. That's why Brahmaji is saying, oh, they're already dead, because the heart is, full of this anxiety and envy. Thus, Lord Shiva, as a self-realized Vaishnava, was advised not to kill Daksh. A Vaishnava is described as para dukha dukhi. So this is the position of a Vaishnava. Para dukha dukhi. Although he is never distressed in any condition of life, he is distressed to see others in a distressed condition. So this is the heart of a Vaishnava. This is a Vaishnava. He does not care about his own situation because he is in a transcendental platform. He's always his consciousness is with Krishna. He's absorbed with Krishna. He's always serving Krishna. But when he sees others unhappy, he feels very unhappy. He wants to see everyone happy. That's why he's called Paradukha Dukhi. And because he wants to see everyone happy, he gives Krishna consciousness to everyone. This is what he tries to do because he knows that Krishna consciousness is the only situation which can make one truly happy. So he wants to give Krishna consciousness to everyone. Vaishnavas, therefore, should not try to kill by any action of the body or mind, but should try to revive the Krishna consciousness of others out of compassion for them. The Krishna consciousness movement has been started to deliver the envious persons of the world from the clutches of Maya. And even though devotees are sometimes put into trouble, they push on the Krishna consciousness movement in all tolerance. So Srila Prabhupada is saying to give this bliss to everyone, to remove everyone from the condition of envy, anxiety, suffering, to have compassion on the suffering condition of everyone. He started this Krishna consciousness movement under the Krishna consciousness movement is under Lord Chaitanya's movement. Actually, the real inaugurator, Srila Prabhupada would always say, is Lord Chaitanya. And Srila Prabhupada is just carrying forward this movement. So Lord Chaitanya advises Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Sahisnona, Amanena Manadena, Caitaniya Sada Hari. One can chant the holy name of the Lord in the humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. And such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Shikshastakam 3, the verses, the instructions that Lord Chaitanya left behind. Shikshastaka, this is the third verse. It's a foundational verse that we should become more humble than the grass, more tolerant than the tree, offer all respect to others, and not expect any in return. And when we come to this position, we can constantly chant the holy name. How can we come to this position? We have to understand we are not the body, we are the soul. If we can try to understand I'm a soul, a servant of Krishna, then we can be able to achieve this state. So Vaishnav should follow the examples of such Vaishnavas as Haridas Thakur, Nityananda Prabhu, and also Lord Jesus Christ. There is no need to kill anyone who has already been killed. But it should be noted herewith that a Vaishnav should not tolerate the blaspheming of Vishnu or Vaishnavas, although he should tolerate personal insults to himself. So a Vaishnav, when he is personally being insulted, he does not care. He does not, it doesn't matter to him. But when he sees someone offending another Vaishnava, or when he sees someone offending Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu, then he does not keep quiet and he does not tolerate it, and then he wants to show the proper position of the Vaishnava. As Sati did. Sati did not much care for her personally being neglected, but she was very upset that Lord Shiva, a pure devotee, was offended. Any comments or questions? So the more we hear, the more we chant, the more we will be able to actually truly be able to become humble. Humility is not just speaking some words which appear to be humble, but to understand I am a servant of Krishna. Then the more we hear, the more we chant, the more we can be situated on that platform. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.